Hello, hope you can hear me okay. I'm recording this on my little phone, which is perched up on top of a little Harley Benton 40 watt amp. And I thought that since I've joined the Open Tuning and Slide Guitar forum and posted a few videos up there, I've got a hell of a lot of questions from a lot of people about my tone, about the gear I have, about my style, which is really funny because I've only started playing slide about a year ago. And it's hilarious because I don't think I'm particularly good, but I'm getting better because I practice a lot, and I suppose thankfully there's a huge interest out there. So anyway, I thought I'd do a bit of a show and tell about what I'm doing and why I do it and stuff like that. I'm a piano player originally, and I had this guitar for a long time, and I used to play three chords, D, E and A on this standard tuning really badly, and so I kind of threw it in the corner and gave up and continued with my piano. But then I started listening to Derek Trucks and watching his videos and Ry Cooder and the Allman Brothers, and I fell in love with his playing and his style. And so I tuned this old thing. It's a vintage guitar. God knows where it's made or where it came from. And it was pretty unplayable because if you can see, the action is really, really high. Now I didn't do anything to this. This is how I got this guitar, and which makes it ideal for slide because the higher the action, the less chance the slide has in hitting the frets. So that's a really good thing. So I tuned this up and started messing around using my thumb, no pick, and so I kind of got this kind of a sound. That kind of thing, just kind of getting the bar chords. Started working on, which is a very difficult thing to work on, which is the vibrato. You're kind of going, it's counterintuitive to what you normally learn on the guitar. On the guitar you're normally going up and down, but with a slide you're going sideways, and I spent a long time kind of getting this right. And I think the first tune I learned was this kind of thing. That kind of thing with my thumb, and after a while, because these are really thick acoustic strings, my thumb was obviously killing me, and I wasn't doing any muting. And then I was watching some Eric Posen, and he was doing a lot of muting with his fingers behind the slide, so I kind of started doing that kind of thing. So it stopped the buzzing. You can hear the strings buzzing away there. Sometimes you can do that intentionally, but normally it's nice, not to have that buzzing. So I started muting behind the slide, which stopped it to an extent. Whatever. But then I learned how to mute with my thumb, and now what I do is I keep my thumb right around here, and I play with these two fingers, and then I use the thumb when I'm up on these strings, these top strings here. So it's a much cleaner sound. So now, one thing you've noticed about this guitar is the intonation is completely off altogether. And that's really important, whatever guitar you're playing, is to make sure that your intonation, in other words, when you're tuning your guitar, and this guitar is tuned again to open E, well, it's kind of out of tune, it's just an old guitar. But when you play it on the 12th fret, it should be in tune. So when you have your tuner, you play an E open, it should stay E on the tuner, but when you play on the 12th fret an E, it should also be an E, but in this case it's not. So anyway, I ditched this because you couldn't really do anything with it, and my fingers were killing me. So I ended up buying an electric guitar, and I ended up with this, which is a Harley Benton, a DC Custom Cherry, I think it is. This is my first, and I absolutely love it. It has humbuckers in it. When I got it, I set it up so I raised the action. You can probably see that. It's nice and high. and I play with the neck, and I never use the middle or the bridge. I always play with the neck, and I use 13 to 56 strings, and the intonation is perfect on this. It's really, really good. And I started watching, tons of Derek's truck stuff, and so one of the things I learned was, rather than playing, when you're playing notes, not to kind of stick in one area like a cage system, to actually use the string the whole way up and down. And I'll play something just to demonstrate that, if I can get this thing going. Yeah. Now, one thing I did do is I ditched the steel slide, or the silver slide as I call it, because I found the tone wasn't really what I wanted. I was kind of looking for a warm tone, and I find this with the steel, well, for one thing, it's quite heavy, and it's just too bright for what I want. So if you compare that to this last slide, well, in my opinion, it feels like a much nicer sound. So I started kind of doing exercises like this. And the reason I started doing that was because I was really bad at nailing the position of the slide, and that's really important. You can't be just one side of the fret. It needs to be right over the fret. And I found by doing those exercises, I became better at nailing the notes, in other words, getting the note correct, but also by doing that, I learned the fretboard. So in other words, I knew what a note was going to sound like before I hit it. And I found that really beneficial when it came to soloing. Because I rather than just playing, the chords, I like to actually play melody when I'm playing slide. And I suppose that comes from playing the piano. But I find that the more times you do that exercise, the more you learn the fretboard, and the more you become confident in playing melodies on the slide guitar, which an awful lot of people don't do. They tend to kind of... So anyway, I'm just messing around, but really this exercise proved really beneficial to me, this kind of thing. And another thing I learned from Derek Trucks was not to pick every note. Oh, before I go on, finger picking. I ditched the slide, and I'm muting with my thumb, and I find that if you're playing with your fingers, and these are 13 to 56 strings, but your fingers do get used to it. I practice a hell of a lot. I practice 2 hours every night without fail. I'm walking around the house with the guitar on my back, sometimes not plugged in, just playing away. I'm sitting down, chatting in the evening time, just playing away to myself. And after a while, your fingers they kill you for the first 2 or 3 months. But then you get to a stage where it's just natural, and you just want to pick up the guitar all the time. It's because you're becoming more confident with the instrument. But so what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so not to pick every note. So kind of I use the sustain of the note and continue on down the single string to create more notes. So like this. somebody asked this question earlier on about that kind of, I suppose, harmonics. So if you play the note just normally, or with harmonics, what I'm doing is I'm plucking the string up against my thumb. So I'm kind of plucking it up with this finger up against my thumb, almost pinching it up like this, and it creates that harmonic on certain places along the fretboard. But it's really effective because you can really make it sing, you know. Maybe I'll play a bit and shut up and show what I mean. Okay, so. Kind of thing. So I'm doing very little muting with these fingers. I'm doing all my muting with my thumb, and I'm playing with these two fingers, unless I'm kind of up here. Like this. Was there anything else? Tone, I'm using the neck. I have my tone and volume just all the way up. This is just the way I like it. I have my mid is up to about 75. I have my bass up to around 60. I have my treble up to 60, and I have a bit of reverb on it. I'm using a compressor down here, and that's it. It's just a Harley Benson HB40, really cheap amp, and yeah, that's about it. There's nothing really much of it, and all I'm doing is just practicing. For those of you who have Harley Benton guitars, this is the DC Custom Cherry. But I'll give you a listen to the sound of the other one, which is the Les Paul copy. Which is this guy, which I love. Really nice guitar, and actually you should hear no real difference in the tone, because more or less it's the same kind of setup. A bit hot. That's why it was in the middle one, I was thinking. So this is the, I think it's the SC550. Really nice guitar. I love it. I love the I suppose the feel of it. Really, it's really very different. The neck seems really long on the DC. This is just a nice size. Really good guitar. Harley Benton have really come on in their quality of their build, and for what you get for the money, it's fantastic. Again, I've raised the action on both of these guitars. I'm using 1356 strings and glass slide, and the setups are the same. And that is about it as far as I know. Oh yeah, just with I'm using a lot of time, but I do let the strings ring out, especially if I'm doing if I'm playing a chord and I want it to ring out, open. I just lift up my thumb, like, And I find sometimes it's a bit of a trick if you're playing one note on a section on the fretboard. If you let it ring, so lift off your hand, your right hand, it almost acts as if there's a volume, so almost as if the volume increases on the actual chord. So like this, and it's a really nice effect. Ry Cooder would use this quite a lot. That's it. Hope I've answered your questions. I have a long way to go yet before I would consider myself in any way good, but that's what I've learned so far in the last year. The group is really good. I get great encouragement from it and great knowledge, and if you're thinking about picking up slides, it's a lot easier than you think it is. And it's funny, the more you practice, the easier it gets. Take care.